Hello, everyone. Let's talk about something we've all experienced at some point, those moments when your calls and texts go unanswered. You've reached out, you've put yourself out there, but it feels like the other person is tuning you out. It's frustrating, isn't it? But here's the thing, what if this situation is less about them and more about something within you? When you're being ignored despite your efforts, it's easy to blame the other person. Maybe they're busy, uninterested, or simply don't care. While that might sometimes be the case, there's a deeper truth worth exploring. Relationships and interactions operate on energy. The way you think, feel, and communicate sends signals far beyond your words. If your internal state doesn't align with what you're trying to achieve, the disconnect becomes apparent, not just to you but to others as well. You see, when you send a text or make a call from a place of neediness or frustration, that energy translates. Even though it's not explicit, people can feel it. It's as if your unspoken emotions are embedded in your words. If the underlying message carries tension, anxiety, or even resentment, the response you get, or don't get, will often mirror that energy. Think about it. Have you ever been on the receiving end of a message that felt more like an obligation than a genuine connection? That's what we're dealing with here. But here's where the shift begins. Instead of focusing on why they aren't responding, let's turn the attention inward. How are you feeling when you're reaching out? Are you calm and confident, or are you sending those messages hoping to fill a void? The energy you emit matters more than you realize. Before you type another word or make another call, pause and ask yourself, what am I expecting in return? If the answer is anything other than a genuine connection, it's time to recalibrate. People are drawn to authenticity, to a grounded and balanced energy. When you're aligned with yourself, you no longer feel desperate for external validation. And that energy? It's magnetic. It shifts the dynamic entirely. Suddenly, you're not just another notification on their phone, you're someone whose presence they genuinely value. Now, I'm not suggesting you overanalyze every interaction or beat yourself up for feeling hurt or frustrated. Those feelings are valid, but they're also signals. They're telling you that it's time to step back, realign, and approach things differently. This is where intentionality comes in. Instead of focusing on what you lack or what someone else isn't giving, start giving that energy to yourself. Pour into your own well. Reconnect with your own worth. When you operate from a place of confidence and self-assuredness, people notice. They might not consciously understand why they feel more drawn to you, but they'll sense it. Your energy will speak volumes, even if your words remain the same. And as you shift internally, the external world begins to shift as well. Suddenly, the silence you once resented becomes less significant because you're no longer depending on someone else to affirm your worth. Let's also talk about clarity. When you reach out to someone, are you clear about your intentions? Often, mixed signals or unclear motives can create a sense of confusion or hesitation in the other person. If you're reaching out to connect, make sure your message reflects that, authentic, straightforward, and without hidden expectations. People respond best when they feel safe and understood, not when they sense an underlying agenda. Another factor to consider is timing. Sometimes, the lack of response isn't about you at all. It's about where the other person is in their life, their capacity to engage, or even their own unresolved emotions. Understanding this can free you from taking their silence personally. Everyone is navigating their own journey, and sometimes that means they can't show up for you in the way you'd hoped. That's okay. It doesn't diminish your value or the connection you share. When you're met with silence after reaching out, it's an opportunity to examine not just your own energy but the nature of your connections. Relationships flourish when they're based on mutual respect and understanding, not obligation or need. This silence might be signaling a misalignment, a sign that the bond you've created requires either adjustment or release. Every interaction is a mirror, reflecting back the energy and intentions that form its foundation. If someone constantly ignores your attempts to connect, ask yourself whether the relationship truly supports your growth and happiness. Beyond energy and intentions, consider the role of boundaries. Often, we reach out to others with an unspoken expectation that they'll respond immediately or behave in a certain way. These expectations, while natural, can create unnecessary tension. People thrive in relationships where they feel they can be themselves without fear of judgment. If someone is silent, they may be setting a boundary, one you might not be aware of. Respecting that space can be just as powerful as reaching out. It shows maturity, understanding, and a willingness to allow relationships to breathe. Are you speaking from a place of warmth and openness, or do your words carry undertones of frustration or demand? Taking a moment to craft your message thoughtfully can make a profound difference. When people feel heard and valued in your communication, they're more likely to respond positively. This doesn't mean you need to overthink every text or call. It's about bringing awareness to your approach and ensuring it aligns with the relationship you want to build. Timing matters too. Life is hectic, and everyone has their challenges to face. If someone doesn't respond right away, it doesn't always mean they're ignoring you. They may simply be overwhelmed or preoccupied with their own responsibilities. Instead of taking their silence personally, give them the benefit of the doubt. Patience and understanding are critical in nurturing healthy connections. Sometimes, the most meaningful relationships grow not from constant communication but from the ability to trust and allow space when needed. Another aspect worth considering is the possibility of overcommunication. Sometimes, less truly is more. Constantly reaching out or sending multiple messages without receiving a reply can come across as overbearing, even if that's not your intention. It's okay to step back, let the other person breathe, and give them time to process. Relationships thrive on balance, when both parties feel free to express themselves without pressure. It's also valuable to reflect on the quality of the relationships you're pursuing. Are these connections aligned with who you are today, or are they remnants of who you once were? As we grow and evolve, so do our relationships. Sometimes, the silence you experience from others is a gentle nudge, encouraging you to seek out bonds that truly resonate with your current self. Surrounding yourself with people who uplift and support you creates a space where meaningful communication naturally flows. Cultivating self-awareness is another key component. Your perception of being ignored might sometimes stem from an inner dialogue of self-doubt or insecurity. By addressing these inner beliefs, you empower yourself to see situations more clearly. Are you assuming the worst because of past experiences? Are you internalizing someone else's behavior as a reflection of your worth? These are critical questions to ask. They help you differentiate between reality and the stories you may be telling yourself. Here's the takeaway: you have the power to change the dynamic, not by forcing the other person to respond, but by shifting how you show up in the interaction. By doing so, you'll create a space where authentic connections can flourish naturally. And even if the other person doesn't meet you there, you'll find yourself in a much stronger, healthier place emotionally. You'll learn to thrive regardless of external validation, and that is a gift no one can take away. Now, think about your next step. What's one thing you can do today to align your energy before reaching out to someone? Maybe it's a moment of gratitude, a deep breath, or even writing down what you want to say to gain clarity. These small practices can transform not just your communication but also your relationships as a whole. So, as you move forward, note that the power to create meaningful connections starts with you.